Alright, hello. It is I, the YouTuber, the content creator, the giver of knowledge, the Garden of Eden of knowledge, the apple to your pie.
Stop it. Get some help.
Alright, in this video, I'm going to be talking about a topic that some of you may be aware of or have, decent knowledge in, or some of you might need a little bit more information or don't know about it at all. The topic of this video is commercial fishing, but not just commercial fishing. It is, in fact, commercial fishing is more dangerous to the ocean environment than plastic. So before I get into that, let's roll that intro. Okay, so many of you may already know this, many of you may not know this, but commercial fishing amounts to the overexploitation, depletion, or overfishing of roughly 90% of all fish species in the environment, in the ocean environment. Now, where there's fishing, there's going to be bycatch. And bycatch simply just means non-target species. And in commercial fishing, there's 40% bycatch of the amount caught for commercial use just discarded. So that's 63 billion pounds of non-target species per year is caught in commercial fishing vessels. Damn! You see what I mean by it's way more of a problem than plastic. Plastic in the ocean is a problem, but it's way more of a problem. Commercial fishing is way more of a problem. So bycatch in commercial fishing also includes wrong size, poor quality, or the fish that they have caught are under a Environmental Protection Act. And when they're caught as bycatch, the methods that they use to catch usually kills all species caught in the crossfire. If they're not killed, then they're thrown overboard, injured. So they're not really going to survive any further. Now, when I say that commercial fishing is a bigger threat to the ocean environment than plastic, this is what I mean. Ghost nets. So where there's commercial fishing, there's going to be ghost nets in the environment, and ghost nets are typically, they're not nets hauled by ghosts. They're just nets that were once used for fishing or commercial fishing purposes, and they're just discarded or lost out at sea and left there. And a lot of animals get entangled in them. It could be birds, it could be dolphins, whales, sharks, turtles, you name it, they get caught. I think one of the best examples of overexploitation of a species is the North Atlantic cod, found in the North Atlantic. So what happened here was that the Atlantic cod was so prevalent in the North Atlantic that people believed you could walk across the water on the backs of all of the cod. So what they did was that because the species was so prevalent, let's fish for it. So they fished for it back in the 18th century. And then new technology started arriving. We had sonar and radar technology in the 1970s or 60s, somewhere around there. And this allowed fishermen to haul in large quantities of cod, or of Atlantic cod, faster and more efficient than previously. This caused a decline in cod species. And when I say decline, I mean 99% of Atlantic cod in the North Atlantic were overexploited. This caused the government to put a ban on fishing for cods so that the species could recover. That is the best example of overexploitation and what is currently happening to almost every single species in the ocean environment today. So you're probably wondering, okay, if that's happening, then why don't we just stop commercial fishing? Why don't we just stop eating fish and cause the commercial fishing industries to go out of business? Well, you see, the problem there is it is a very powerful industry because the commercial fishing industry's profit has risen astronomically. By 2016, the world fishing trade industry hit 206 billion Australian dollars. That's 143 US dollars, 143 billion US dollars. With 3 billion people relying on fish as a main source of protein, it will be hard to put that industry out of business, especially since it's so firm into everyone's lives. Almost everyone relies on fish, especially third world countries, for their source of protein. The fishing industry runs purely off of consumer demand, which determines the fishing effort. It's the amount of effort that these fishermen and their vessels put into collecting their catch. This will also indirectly affect the environment. This will affect the biotic, which is a living, and the abiotic, which is the non-living. But fret not. Okay?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
There are a few things set in place that will allow a sustainable catch. These are the maximum sustainable yield and the maximum economic yield. These are set in place to establish a maximum quantity of fish that can be harvested annually without depleting the fish stocks. Now, both of these terms have a different meaning. The maximum sustainable yield, or the MSY, means that there is a maximum amount that you are allowed to take out of the environment without jeopardizing that species numbers. The maximum economic yield, or MEY, determines the difference between the amount earned from their fishing and the total cost to fish that species. So we have these boundaries set in place, MSY and MEY. Okay, we've got these set in place to avoid over-exploitation or overfishing. So why is it still occurring? I can give you one simple word, and that's money. Lots of money. So it is estimated that 1/3 of all commercial fishing vessels have an illegal catch rate. And what I mean by that is it is illegal, unregulated, and unreported. IUU. Illegal, unregulated, unreported landings of fish occur in 1/3 of all commercial fishing vessels. There's also a huge economic incentive involved with overfishing. Why? Because of maximum economic yield. If a fishing population is earning these fishermen a large sum of money, then they will overfish that population for personal incentives. A great example of unregulated, illegal, and unreported landings is shark fin soup. So shark fin soup, as most of you may know, is quite a delicacy in certain parts of the world. This delicacy kills 100 million sharks for their fins annually, as opposed to sharks killing roughly 5 people annually. Yeah, a little bit biased, a little bit, I don't know, insignificant to assume that sharks kill us, or they're man-eaters. We're shark eaters. With that in mind, you kind of question where your moral moral compass is pointing. It's already been identified that 90% of all large top order predators are being removed from the environment. And we are already seeing the drastic changes that are occurring in the trophic food web today. For instance, Our Planet, the documentary, identified that squid are now becoming way more prevalent in the environment because they don't have the competition or the predators to control their numbers. Alright, so we've got over 90% of all fish species in the environment being overexploited, overfished, and depleted. We've also got unregulated, illegal, and unreported fishing in 1/3 of all commercial fishing vessels. So how can we control this? Global Fishing Watch utilizes satellite tracking to keep an eye on unregulated and illegal fishing worldwide 24/7 annually. You've also got blockchain that traces fish catch to shelf life annually. There's also 86 nations worldwide that have pledged to track and remove illegal fishing vessels from port or within their own waters. I'll put those down below if you want to check them out. They're also here. So yeah. Alright, so that'll be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed that. It was something a little different. Commercial fishing, plastic, a good leeway from my last video being about fish eating plastic, and now we are eating an overabundance of fish causing the decline in trophic communities and an uprise of certain species because they don't have the competition or the predators, yada yada yada. You know, all that stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to end off this video. Please like, comment and subscribe. I never know where it is. It'll be somewhere around there. Check out last week's video. Remember to educate and don't eradicate. And I'll see you guys next week for another video. Remember to check out Cape Clasp. Great organization. Bye.